Just a quick little edit before we begin the video. Later on in the script, we speculate whether or not the villain in Shang-Chi is the Dweller in Darkness. However, it is actually confirmed in the movie that it is in fact the Dweller in Darkness. Other than that little change, the rest of the video should be very relevant, so I hope you guys enjoy. Wanda Maximoff is set to become one of the most important cornerstones in the MCU, and in the upcoming multiversal saga, having just recently unlocked the true power of the Scarlet Witch, and the last time we saw her, she was studying the texts of the Darkhold in order to grow her already immense power even further. Many fans have even theorized that the rebirth of the Scarlet Witch was a direct catalyst for the rupture in the multiverse at the end of the Loki series. So with they being this powerful roaming the universe, how powerful might someone or something become if they could control the mighty Scarlet Witch? Well, stick with us, watchers of the Marvel Multiverse, because we believe there might not only be a dire threat of someone controlling and manipulating Wanda Maximoff, but we believe we've already seen the beginnings of this manipulation and just might have an answer as to who this prospective puppet master may be. There will again be spoilers for Shang-Chi ahead, and seeing it is still exclusively a theatrical release, we will continue to issue spoiler warnings until it is released on Disney Plus in October. In Shang-Chi, we watch our titular protagonist battle against his own father as Wenwu seeks to reclaim his wife from the afterlife. He tells Shang-Chi that he has been hearing the voice of his late wife who has been calling to him and begging him to set her free, ultimately sending him on this quest to Ta Lo in order to liberate what he believes to be her trapped spirit. But how exactly does this relate to Wanda Maximoff? In the closing moments of WandaVision, we not only see that Wanda is studying the incredible power of the Darkhold in order to hone her powers, but we also see that she is hearing the voices of her children that were lost when the Hex was dissolved. Many fans have speculated and believed that Wanda is hearing through the veil between timelines or even entire realities, and is quite literally hearing the iterations of her children from a different plane of existence. And while this is a compelling theory in its own right, we also believe that Wanda being manipulated by the same being from Shang-Chi could create an incredibly interesting storyline going forward. So who exactly is this mysterious voice? There are three different possibilities which we'll be exploring here today, as the answer is not explicitly given in Shang-Chi, and the owner of this voice still may be out there. The first candidate is a being known as the Dweller in Darkness. In the comics, the Dweller in Darkness is a mystery to most of the inhabitants of the mainline universe, and serves as the embodiment of humanity's collective fears, though in the MCU as of now, it appears as if he feeds off of souls. This being originated in the realm known as Evernai, acting as a representation of the concept of fear itself. But what's important to note here is that he wasn't actually a Shang-Chi villain in his comic origin, but was in fact a common enemy of Doctor Strange. If we return to the scene where Wanda hears her children calling out to her, they sound distantly desperate and afraid, fueling Wanda's own fear that her children may be in imminent danger. In Shang-Chi, Wenwu acts on the principle of saving his wife from the afterlife. And while this seems to be a noble, heroic gesture, this too is fueled by the fear of living without her, and the fear of not being able to save her, instead leaving her to dissolve into the unknown. In the comics, the Dweller in Darkness is capable of feeding off of fear rather than souls, and he uses it to grow his own power, which could explain why he is mimicking the voices of Wenwu and Wanda's loved ones if there is more to this situation than meets the eye. At the end of Shang-Chi, the voice of Wenwu's wife convinces him to begin breaking down the veil that is keeping the Soul Eaters at bay, letting them wreak havoc on Ta Lo and threatening to escape into the world. This concept would very likely inspire fear in most of humanity, allowing a being such as the Dweller in Darkness to harness the power of both fear as well as souls, growing immensely powerful while also allowing his Soul Eaters to consume the life forces of Earth's inhabitants. The second candidate is Nightmare. And before we delve into this part of the theory, it's important to note that the basis of this theory would be largely the same, only with a few minor deviations. In the comics, Nightmare presides over the dream dimension, and is once again a common antagonist of Doctor Strange that original director Scott Derrickson took steps towards including in the Doctor Strange sequel. Though he was later replaced by Sam Raimi, it's theoretically possible that Nightmare was present in some stage of production at some point in time, and might as well make an appearance in the film. His goal would largely be the same, to inspire fear, and ultimately use said fear to control Wanda Maximoff, be it to use her power to pierce the veil between realities and free him from the dream dimension, or for some other nefarious purpose. When Wanda hears her children, her consciousness is divided between two different bodies, one of whom is roaming the cabin in civilian attire while the other is studying the Darkhold. If her mental state is strained in order to maintain this effect, seeing as she is just beginning her training with her newfound powers, then she may well be in a trance-like stage that largely resembles sleeping, and she may be susceptible to Nightmare's influences in this weakened state. When Doctor Strange uses a power similar to this in his first solo outing, his mortal body is asleep or unconscious while he astral projects, but Wanda's is awake. This would reasonably imply that she is using more energy to maintain this effect. We know that Wanda Maximoff is set to play an antagonistic role in Doctor Strange, and the idea that she is being influenced or manipulated by somebody behind the scenes would allow her to be a compelling antagonist that we understand and feel sympathetic towards, while also still being redeemable by the end of the story. As for the third candidate, we would like to propose that it could be neither the Dweller in Darkness nor Nightmare, but it might actually be both of them. Here's how. The identity of the Dweller in Darkness in Shang-Chi was largely hinted at, but very little is known about his existence as of now. And much like Marvel chose to combine the characters of Immortus and the original He Who Remains into the MCU iteration of He Who Remains in the Loki series, is it possible that the Dweller in Darkness and Nightmare might actually be the same being in the MCU, and their characters have been combined into one figure? We know that Marvel is no stranger to combining story elements and character backstories to create a compelling on-screen adaptation, and these two characters could make for a particularly intriguing amalgam who could go by either name, but his origins and storyline could take influence from both characters, picking the most compelling parts of each of their characters and creating a new individual as the antagonist for Multiverse of Madness, and the one pulling the strings behind Wanda Maximoff, the powerful Scarlet Witch. But anyway, my friends, what do you think of these ideas and theories? Do you think that the voices Wanda hears are the same voices that Wenwu heard in Shang-Chi? And if so, where do you think it is coming from? Do you think it's the Dweller in Darkness or Nightmare? Or perhaps an interesting amalgam of both characters? Or are the voices that Wanda is hearing legitimate? And is she actually hearing her children from beyond her own reality? We would love to hear your thoughts and theories on this in the comments down below. As always, my friends, hit that subscribe button to assemble and join our team, and have a great day.